So if you didn't see my other video about my Cub Cadet LTX 1050 that I bought 12 years ago, I'll leave a link down below to that video. But here we are about 2 months later since I bought my first zero turn, which is a 2023 Cub Cadet Ultima ZT1 50. I got this one from Home Depot and the price was right about $3,700, which is more than I wanted to pay. I really only wanted to pay maybe a little over $3,000. Once I realized I wanted a fabricated deck over a stamped, it didn't really make sense to get the 46-inch version for only $100 less. Good thing is everything was already put together. They just dropped it off at my house and I rolled it off of the crate. Well, I did have to adjust the rear frame that goes above the engine, but I double checked everything on it, and the only thing that I could find was they put the hitch upside down. Not a big deal. It was pretty easy to just flip over. But it was a lot harder than I thought it would be, trying to decide which zero turn to go with. But once I realized almost every entry-level zero turn uses the same hydro transmissions, I was kind of surprised. Even the more expensive commercial brands that make entry-level residential versions now. But I figured I would just go with which one felt the most comfortable, and it had the features that I wanted. The seat on the ZT150 is really comfortable. I'm right at 6 feet tall and this one fits me pretty good. Plus it has the bigger tires on the back than some of the competitors. I was also looking at Toro and Bad Boy, among some others with similar pricing and features. There are a few things missing on here though that I didn't think would be a huge issue. The first small upgrade I did was the hour meter. They make a decal to cover the whole section, but of course that was out of stock when I wanted to get it. I just carefully lifted the decal after heating it up, cut a small section in there for the hour meter to fit in, and then just pop the hour meter right in there. It looks okay, but if I did it again, probably modify the decal a little bit better, or just cut a small rectangle just where the readout is, so you don't see the entire plastic square piece. Another simple upgrade, I just added a cable underneath the seat, which was pretty cheap on Amazon. It's much better now that you can just flip the seat forward without having to worry about damaging the seat or hitting the seat on the metal part, which could get ripped over time, because otherwise it goes all the way down and hits the footrest. One other simple upgrade, I took the bolt underneath the seat to replace where the deck cover is. That way you can just loosen it and tighten it back up just using your hands. No need for extra tools. But this model had several things I was looking for. One of the main things was the Kawasaki engine. Not that I have anything against Kohler, but my older Cub Cadet also had a Kawasaki and I barely did anything for that engine other than just change the oil and air filter. It's still using the original spark plug, fuel filter, and it still pretty much starts every single time. Now I will admit, since this is my first zero turn, when I tried to use this for the first time, I felt like I was gonna run into something. So I just went out into the open to practice for a bit before getting too close to objects. But then it only took a couple times mowing before I felt almost as comfortable as with my older traditional riding mower. I also like the really thick hand grips. They just seem to be a little more durable than some of the others I looked at. And yeah, the first thing I noticed is just how fast this thing is. I mean, my older Cub Cadet was pretty fast when I first got it, but this one feels like I'm driving a go-kart. Plus, I feel like I can mow more precise with this one versus my older riding mower. Also, there's an adjustment on the front of the control arms where you screw the bolts in, which I did have to adjust slightly so the left and right would go at the same speeds. As far as mowing in general, it does a pretty good job so far. I was kind of hoping it would show striping a little bit more just as is, but I'd probably have to mow the grass at a higher setting. It's also nice that you just push on the foot pedal to lift the deck and then set your mowing height. Makes it pretty easy to just push the pedal as I go over the driveway and then let it back down without changing the mowing height. Now I've heard with zero turn mowers it's harder to go up hills or stay on them because of traction issues. Well, so far I haven't had that issue with this one. I only have one area in one section of my yard where it's somewhat steep, probably 20 to 30 degree angle, and it seems to handle that pretty easily. I don't really have other zero turn mowers to compare the traction to, but so far this one seems pretty good. You definitely want to be careful on turns though, because I have tore up the grass a little when I first started mowing with this. I might have just been going too fast though. This one's also a lot easier to change the oil versus my LTX 1050. That one was sort of a pain. It had like a plastic adapter at the bottom of the engine. It's pretty much broke now. I can barely get it to work, but with this one it's got a hose hanging down where you just loosen up the bolt and it drains right there. Really, there's only one thing that I wish this mower had. The fact that it doesn't have a fuel gauge, and my older mower did. I mean, it was just right in front of you. So it was easy to see when you're gonna have to add gas. This one, you're gonna have to stop, get off the mower, lift the seat up, shake it a little bit, see if anything's in there. I'm sort of tempted to see if I can figure out how to add a fuel gauge. I just don't know if there's a good spot where you would be able to see it while you're seated. And then one thing I was thinking, since this does have the entry-level EZT 2200 hydro transmissions that are supposedly non-serviceable, well, right above each one, there's a hole in the frame, so you could access the fill port right there. I figure I'll just change the fluid on each one to see if that helps extend the life of each one. I do have an oil pump, so it shouldn't be too hard to get it out of there. It's just kind of slow, so I'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, so far, after 2 months, I do really like this mower. I probably should have got a zero turn earlier, but they are somewhat expensive, so of course I was a little hesitant. Sort of weird, but now I'm always finding myself looking at other zero turn mowers and watching mowing videos. I wasn't even a big fan of mowing these last few years, especially since starting my YouTube channel. I just wanted to mow quickly and get back to my videos, but now it feels like I mow so quick that when I'm done, I almost wish my yard was a little bigger. Almost.